Westfield Memorial Hospital provides high-quality health care to residents of Western New York, offering patients the most sophisticated medical advancements while keeping the ease and familiarity of a community hospital. Support for Chautauqua Sunrise has been provided by WRFA 107.9 FM, Jamestown's public radio station, streaming online 24/7 at WRFALP.com. Low power to the people. Meter's Restaurant, a family tradition for over 50 years in downtown Ripley, is a proud supporter of Chautauqua Sunrise. Meter's provides all-day dining, banquet services, and custom catering, specializing in pie.
Funding for Chautauqua Sunrise is provided in part by the County of Chautauqua Industrial Development Agency, with offices in Jamestown and Dunkirk, helping businesses to prosper throughout Chautauqua County. For more information on how the CCIDA can assist your business, visit choosechq.com.
From supporting people with disabilities to enjoy great lives, to providing health care services that are available to anyone, the Resource Center has been improving our county for more than 60 years. Learn more about how the Resource Center makes a positive difference in people's lives.
Is getting vaccinated on your to-do list? We can help you check it off, because we make getting vaccinated easy. You've got this, because we've got you. To learn more, visit yougotthis.usaging.org.
From the Access Chautauqua Studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Chautauqua. We are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week from 9 to 10 a.m. Send events via email or call us live. Check us out on YouTube and Facebook. And now, from the Access Chautauqua Studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
Hey everybody, good morning. I'm Doc Hamels and welcome to Chautauqua Sunrise. Hope you're all doing well, and wow, the weather pretty nice today, for today anyways. I think I finally, Justin, put away my winter clothes. I'm almost there, although I see it's supposed to drop like 20 degrees next week or something like that. I don't know. Anyways, hope you're all doing well. Or hello anywhere around the world that's watching today. I know we've had people over in Europe and down in Africa, in different places across the United States, and you can always check us out throughout the week on Spectrum 1301 at 2 and 8, right? So, hello to Natalia over in the Ukraine. I know you've been checking in every week. Hope you're safe and that you find your country finds a way to stop the carnage over there and the destruction. So our fingers are crossed for all of you. James, if you're watching from Kenya, I know Karen Cockram is going to be visiting you soon. So I hope you are doing well down there. All right. Throughout the week, you can send in messages to us at our email address. And it's called chautauquasunrise@gmail.com. And if you have an event, something you want to share with us, you can do that. And also today, since we're live from 9 to 10, you can give us a call at 716-753-5225. And if you want to talk to us directly or have a question, a comment, something you want to share, they'll pipe you in here on our speaker system. And if you're really shy, they'll write it down and give it to me anyway. So we get things like that from time to time. So this radio station, we're on the radio, but we'll talk about that in a second. But as TV station, we are here to serve the community. So if you have something you want to share and if it's our requirements, we'll get that on the air for you. And speaking of the radio, we also are on WRFA 107.9, low power to the people, every Tuesday at 1 p.m. You'll be able to hear the soundtrack of today's show, and if you're traveling about, you might say, hey, I heard that, or I watched that, and here we are. So we are glad that we're talking to our friends over in the Jamestown, Faulkner Asheville. I don't even know how far they go, but they're down there in that area. You pick that up at your home? Probably? Probably could. Okay, what else? As far as Beam is. Okay, so it's down that area. We're sort of limited as far as geographical, but we get around it through social media. Okay, see what else I got here. The weather has been phenomenal. We've had some beautiful sunsets where I live anyways. I know we've had some terrific storms as well, so I guess it's that time of year, but I'm just amazed. You know, one day the trees are bare and then 2 days later it's full. It's just incredible. And it's really, really interesting. I have some things to share with you, and let's start off right off the bat. That's at 11 o'clock today. If you are interested, you can grab your old sneakers and t-shirt or whatever, shorts, jeans, whatever, and get down to the Barcelona beaches. The Westfield Mayville Rotary Club is conducting a Great Lakes cleanup at 11 o'clock. They're meeting down at the pier in Barcelona. You might say, come on, where's Barcelona? Barcelona is a real place. And if you go to Westfield on 394 and you just go straight down to the lake and look for the pier, the harbor there, there's a building, and that's where the Rotarians will be handing out black contractor bags and filling them up with garbage and stuff like that. This is part of a project throughout really this part of the world with the Great Lakes. All the Rotary clubs throughout the area, up into Canada and so forth, they're cleaning up their shores, especially part of Earth Day, which is back in April, I know that, but it's all part of the mission of Rotary. So if you want to join them, 11 o'clock today. Also today, over at the Ripley Library is a great plant sale fundraiser, and this is a major fundraiser. There's an organization called the BFF, which is really people that support the library, and they put this together every year. And from what I understand, you can get some really great annuals and perennials at a really good price. And I'll be there later on today to pick up a few plants myself. So that's being conducted today, and check it out. And the Ripley Library is right on Route 20, right in Ripley, New York. Also, I'm here to announce that coming up this Thursday, I think that's the 22nd, there's going to be something called the CHQ Aging Expo. I'm double checking my dates here because, as my wife will tell you, I never know what day it is. Yeah, it's Thursday. So it's going to be held at SUNY Fredonia Williams Center, and they are going to have a variety of vendors. What kind of vendors? People that you might be interested. And this is for aging adults, all right, senior citizens, and they are going to have people there that will be talking about services, products, things that maybe you'd be interested in as we get older, that you say, I didn't know you had that, and I sure could use that. Also, there will be 30 to 45-minute breakout sessions for different organizations to talk about their services, and that'll be held in the afternoon. There will be food trucks. I don't know if all the food trucks that I know of are going to be there, but I know there's going to be a variety. Some you can use your Office for the Aging. They have these cards for dining out cards you can use there, and then there would be some food trucks that you actually can use cash. So anyway, so that's going to be taking place starting at 9 o'clock over at the Williams Center in Fredonia. And right now I heard there's over 500 people signed up. If you're interested, get ready, Jeff, to get that number up there because he's going to pop it up for me. You can call this number to register, and they would appreciate it if you do, because I know they're expecting at least 1,000 people, but you can contact New York Connects. Watch the show. It's going to pop up here any second. And the number is 716 753-4582. 716-753-4582. And if you're interested, I highly recommend it. It's going to be lots of great information for you, and that is called the CHQ Aging Expo 2025. They put a lot of work into it. Great information and some awesome speakers this Thursday, May 22nd. Okay, I covered that one. Let's see, what else we got? All right, so I have some other announcements here, and I'm going to get to them, and then I have a guest speaker that's going to come on, and then I have other folks that are waiting to join us. I'll give you a little clue. We're going to be talking about some really cool history today, and in a really interesting place that you can visit with your family very soon. How's that for a teaser? Yes, Justin, you can do it. and it's free of charge. Free of charge. But more on that in a moment. All right, let's start out with slide 15, Jeff. With pens in hand and a deep belief in the power of arts, members of the Infinity Visual and Performing Arts Board of Directors gathered this week to personally help sign hundreds of letters to launch the organization's 2025 annual campaign. This marks the beginning of Infinity's yearly grassroots effort to sustain its mission, providing consistent, affordable access to music and arts education for more than 1,000 students. And every year you see a handful of these students that comes here on Chautauqua Sunrise, and they perform for us, and we just had them here a few weeks ago. And they come from all across Chautauqua County. Infinity's staff and board members are working together to share the stories and successes of Infinity students and to invite the community to be part of that story. According to our friend Shane Hawkins, she says, Infinity has always been about people, our students, our instructor, mentors, our team, and our community. The campaign is a reflection of that. It's built on the generosity of neighbors who believe in the creative potential and future success of our youngest community members. Okay, just for your information, Infinity is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and fundraising is a vital part of what makes their programs possible. Okay, so if you're interested, you can contribute to that, and if you want more information, they're in their 26th year, and you give them a call at 716-664-0991, or you can go online and contact them at Infinity Performing Arts, all one word, .org. Okay, great program. All right, let's go on to 16. Let's see what we got here. We got some things from the Reg Linnae Center for, excuse me, for the Arts. Okay, interesting. Warfare, that's the name of the movie. Written and directed by Iraq war veteran Ray Mendoza and Alex Garland. That wasn't too bad. Civil War, 28 days later. Warfare, Wednesday, May 21, 7 p.m. Warfare will be aired Wednesday, May 21 at 7 p.m. Embeds audience with a platoon of American Navy SEALs in the home of an Iraqi family overwatching movement of U.S. forces through insurgent territory. A visceral, boots-on-the-ground story of modern warfare told like never before in real time and based on the memory of the people who lived it. Warfare is rated R, and it's 95 minutes long. We've got some upcoming movies, too. Let's see what we got here. It's include Carey Mulligan in the music comedy The Ballad of Wallace Island. That's May 28th at 7 p.m. The fantasy adventure The Legend of, here we go, Ochi or Oki, I'm not sure, O-C-H-I. That's May 30th. And a Jamestown Pride Week showing of the 2014 historical film Pride. And that'll be on June 4th at 7 p.m. Most tickets are $8 in person or $10 at the box office. Interested in giving them a call? Give them a call at 484-7070, 484-7070, get your tickets. All right, and just to come back on that Great Lakes watershed cleanup, I mentioned it's going to be at the Barcelona Pier at 11, and I see that they're going to have bags ready, and snacks and water will be provided. And if you want to bring gloves, that's fine, that's up to you. And this will be a great project for students if they need service hours, and everybody is welcome to chip in. Okay, then I have an announcement from the County Historical Group. A showcase of local history will be on full display later this year in Chautauqua County. The Chautauqua County History Expo will take place at the Fluvanna Community Church in Jamestown on Saturday, October 23rd, and will feature dozens of local history organizations, historians, and museums from across the Chautauqua region and surrounding areas. The event is being organized by the Chautauqua County Historian's Office with assistance from other groups from across the county. Okay, so this is a quote from Norm Carlson, who's the county historian. This event is intended to help promote our local historians and historical organizations, which play a vital role in preserving and promoting our region's history. We'll have representatives from dozens of historical groups and municipalities on hand to exhibit historical artifacts, share details of the work they do, and encourage the public to support their efforts. There will also be a series of lectures focusing on various historical topics. So we're going to have these folks on here in a few weeks. They're going to be talking further on this. But if you are interested to know more, it's going to be, again, Saturday, August 23rd from 10 to 4 p.m. at the Flavanna Community Church. And you can contact Norm Carlson at the following number if you're interested, 716-753-4857. Let me say it again, 716-753-4857. Okay? Then we've got something here from our friends at Rural Minds who have been on recently. Let's see here. It's a 1-hour seminar regarding suicide among teens and young adults in the U.S. Dr. Eric Arzubi, he's a CEO and co-founder of Frontier Psychiatry in Billings, Montana. He will speak about his observations as a psychiatrist treating adolescents living in rural communities throughout Montana, Idaho, and Alaska. All right, so the whole theme of this, as we've been talking with Jeff Witten here over time, who is the founder of Rural Minds, that we have lots of work to do in our region about mental health and so forth. And the good news is I have someone here that's going to be talking about mental health that's going to be part of a project that's coming up soon. So I want to, how's that for a segue? So I want to introduce and welcome back to the show Steve Kilburn, who's with the Health Department here in Chautauqua County, that's going to talk about a special conference coming up. Steve, you're on.
Yeah, thank you, Doc. Thanks for another opportunity to be on your show. Jeff Winton, who I also know, is doing such great work highlighting the behavioral health, let's say, mental health, substance use issues that we have, like communities across the country. But really it is good news that there is so much that's actually happening locally in response to those issues. One of those things is what's now become an annual event. In fact, this year, our 10th annual Hope and Healing Conference of Western New York. And that's what I wanted to just let folks know about. Again, June 11th. This will be at this year at SUNY Fredonia's Williams Center.
Oh, same place as the other one.
Same place as the Office of the for the Aging event this week. Yeah, so at the Williams Center at SUNY Fredonia, the Hope and Healing Conference of Western New York. You can see there we have really a very full day planned. 3 keynote speakers, all of them content experts in their respective fields that range from student well-being to the neuroscience of addiction to caregiver health. They're really not only content experts, but all of them, each of the 3 keynote speakers have one or more of our steering committee members have heard them speak before, and they're just excellent communicators, engaging, can really hold the room. In addition to the 3 keynote speakers, we have what we call Hope Talks. They're kind of modeled after TED Talks, but local folks who can bring either a message about their work here in the area or some other area of interest that they speak for 7 minutes on or so. In addition, we have breakout sessions, 2 of them during the day, and lunch is provided as well.
Oh.
So it is a very full day. This conference has really only grown and increasingly become kind of a thing. People come from some distance now even to attend. So that's coming up again, June 11th at the Williams Center at SUNY Fredonia. It's 8 to 5 p.m. Information about registration and the speakers, etc., is at hopeandhealingconference.com. So hopeandhealingconference.com, and that's where a link to register can be found as well. This is an event for which registration is required.
So who should go?
Well, in many instances, the folks that are attending are local professionals who are maybe in mental health, substance use services of one kind or another. But beyond that, folks in education, really, look, there's nobody either professionally or for that matter in some form personally for which these topics don't come to bear.
It touches somebody's life somehow.
It touches somebody's life somehow. So we have otherwise community members, so folks that may not formally work in the field, also attending. I do want to make kind of a pitch as well to say that while there is as I said, a registration and there is a cost for speakers at lunch, etc., we also have scholarships available if there are folks in the community who really would like to be a part of that day's events. If you look on our Facebook, our social media, several of our partners would have this posted, but you could go to the Combat Addiction CHQ, Combat Addiction CHQ on Facebook. You'd find a link there to an application for scholarships, full scholarships to attend the event. So we invite and welcome really anyone for whom these topics are of interest, whether it's a professional interest or personal.
Awesome. Well, Steve, thanks for sharing this. And we have been touching on all sorts of social issues, gosh, since January, I think we kicked it off. So keep up the good fight, and we know that there's work to be done, and hopefully this will help the situation even more.
Well, we really appreciate you highlighting.
Absolutely,
topics.
and always feel free to let us know and come on once again.
There's good things happening.
Absolutely.
And we want to showcase them.
All right, thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
So, folks, we're going to take a little breather, and we'll be right back, and this is for you. Stay tuned.
At Intersections, it's not just about my moves. It's about yours, too. See Coop Guy? Hey. He has a green light, but before he can turn, he's got to wait for oncoming traffic to clear. And at the same time, make sure no one's in the crosswalk. And Dog Walking Lady, when she's crossing, she should always check for turning traffic, even if she has the walk signal. There's a lot going on at Intersections, but when it all comes together, it's intersection perfection. See and be seen.
I haven't seen that. Oh, sometimes you get those intersections and it's like, who got here first? And then someone that's a passenger will start waving and they don't realize that the driver who's sitting right next to them has a different idea, and it's a mess. So anyways, something to think about. Woo! We have a great topic today we're going to be talking about, and that is the Barcelona Lighthouse project. And I'm going to welcome back two folks that I've known for some time now. Marla Melcher, different name this time around.
Yeah, we got married.
You got married,
yeah.
Congratulations. And my mentor and friend, Michelle Henry, who always is explaining to me the innuendos of history in Chautauqua County and corrects me whenever I get some crazy idea in my head. And she's my go-to person because I'm the town historian in Ripley, and we've developed a nice professional relationship over time. So, Marla, we're going to be talking about the Lighthouse, but tell us what's your role with it and why you're here.
Well, actually, I'm a parks manager with State Parks. I'm responsible for all 5 parks that are within Chautauqua County, and the Lighthouse is one of them. It's also where my office is stationed, so I'm based there.
Okay, so we had a little quiz earlier with Steve, and we were trying to name all the 5 state parks in our area. I could remember 4 of them, but there was always one that's hidden, so why don't you tick them off for us?
All right, we've got Long Point State Park on Lake Chautauqua. We have Midway State Park, and then we have the Barcelona Lighthouse, of course, Lake Erie State Park, and Sunset Bay State Marine Park. Those are the 5 that are within Chautauqua County at this time.
Okay, so Sunset Bay, that one I'm not familiar with. So I know where Sunset Bay is, but that's Silver Creek or
Irving, technically, but
Okay.
yeah, Silver Creek area.
So what's there? I don't even know what's there.
Primarily a marina. There's a
Okay.
concession area, some grass. We're partially responsible for the break wall that goes out. So
Is that near Cabana Sam's or whatever they call
they're
it?
down around the corner.
All right, so
but,
that's so just kind of give somebody an idea because I
Yep.
know that's an upcoming
Yeah.
place these days.
When you go straight into the Sunset Bay area, it's right over the rail trucks, straight down the road, we're the last thing on the right-hand side before the turn.
And have you been responsible for this area for a long time?
About 10 years, 2015.
Okay. All right. Well, it's relatively new compared to what we're going to be talking about here.
Yes.
And then, of course, Long Point has been around for quite some time. How long has that been a state park? And again, I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
About 1965-ish.
Okay, so
So.
it's been around. And Midway is relatively new as far as a state park, right?
They got that in 2006.
All right, and that was Mark Thomas days, I think, right?
Yes.
And he was what, an assistant commissioner, deputy commissioner? He was
He was responsible
division.
for the Western District, yes.
Yeah, we talked about that. And of course, and then the Barcelona is a relatively new state park as well. That's probably the newest?
It was right about the same time as Midway. We got it in 2007.
Okay. Okay. And then, so as park manager, I'm not fooling around now. I'm not trying to make this up. You're not a park ranger. I mean,
No.
that's a different job. I mean, when you hear park manager, you kind of think of, Yogi Bear and, the park ranger and all that, but you don't know.
No.
That's totally different. Your
Completely
administration.
different job, mostly administrative, yes.
Okay. Now, how did you get that job? I mean, did you were you when you were young thinking, I want to be a park manager? Or?
Well,
Really?
I
mean,
was always interested in anything biology, outdoors. I changed my major through all 5 different, wildlife, forestry. Couldn't make up my mind, so I ended up doing a degree that got all of it together, and I ended up with parks.
Were you in Girl Scouts?
I was a Girl Scout, yes.
Yeah.
My-
Well, I was a Boy Scout. I mean, this all fits right into my
we
own
were a
background.
scouting family. Dad still volunteers at a Boy Scout camp.
Excellent,
So-
excellent, cool. All right, and I think that plays into a lot of our lives, is our early years when we were in these organizations, whatever they are, and that's great. So, I had you on here before by yourself, but today you brought Michelle Henry, who's been here by herself, which is you've teamed up. So, Michelle, what's your role now with the Barcelona Lighthouse?
I'm research historian, so my office is at Barcelona, but I'm responsible for doing historical research on all the parks in the county.
Oh,
so,
all 5 of them.
Yes,
Oh,
yes. So
I did not know that.
Yeah, so it's really been a lot of fun. It's just the perfect job.
And you had a different job for a long time, so you want to tell us a little bit about that job?
Yeah, I was records manager and county historian for the county for 26 years. And I retired from that, but, who wants to be retired when there's research to be done, So,
Yeah, I never dreamt that I was going to grow up to be the town historian of Ripley. I mean, it was just one of those things I just never even thought of. And then the opportunity came up, so I had no idea what a historian's supposed to do other than what I do. And then Michelle's helped me out a lot and gave me some good guidance. And God, it's fun.
it is.
And it never ends. I mean, it's like you're constantly thinking about history. I don't know. Is that for you too?
Yes, and one research topic will lead to another just naturally, and then you just keep building the story. And I think that's why history is interesting to me, because the story can just build, exponentially depending on, just how holistic of a picture you want to build for any particular place or event.
See, like I was a science guy when I was growing up. History was really low, like right below geometry and trigonometry. I mean, I don't know if it was the teachers, and all I remember is we had to memorize dates and explorers, and it just had no connection. And now when you start talking about local history, it's really interesting. And that's where I want to start today's discussion. Michelle, I'm going to lean on you a little bit. Barcelona, Ripley, Portland, Westfield, from Westfield, Massachusetts. The whole region here, the Holland Land Company. When did it all happen? The first few years of that whole scene.
Right. So the Holland Land Company had owned all of Western New York, and they bought it with the sole intent of getting the land sold so they would make a profit.
All right. So they're like the early real estate agents.
Yes, absolutely. So they acquired the property from New York State because New York State was broke after having fought in the Revolutionary War. So the state and the federal government were looking for capital. A good way to get capital is to sell land. So so they sold all of Western New York, and the Holland Land Company paid surveyors to come through and survey all of it. So William Peacock was one of those surveyors. And all of our towns are laid out in grids, that the Holland Land Company surveyed. So the towns were established in blocks, and then as the population grew, those towns could be, separated out. And so that's basically how.
So what about time frame? What are we
The
talking?
1790s is when the surveying
So
was
this
done.
is the United States is real early in its development.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this was really the Western frontier, and I think people here don't think of that, but
Not
like
at
when
all.
they were, after the Revolutionary War, when the Holland Land Company was purchasing all this, all that surveying was critical because nobody had a really good handle on how the land, laid, what we actually had out here. So this was the Western frontier, so the land was offered at a really reasonable price as good farmland. So a lot of New Englanders jumped at the chance to come here, acquire more land, and get some really great farmland.
So at that point in time, it was it was pretty rural. It was really, really undeveloped, and the roads, paths were probably indigenous paths,
Yeah.
you know, of native folks. Probably you had beaver hunters and fishermen along the Great Lakes, perhaps at some point. I mean, it was very, very undeveloped. In
It was a wilderness.
1800 right?
Yeah.
And you know, the trees and the forest were really thick. It was just different than it is today, obviously. But people, as you said, they don't realize that this was the edge. The colonies were behind them, and then we're slowly moving westward.
Right.
But something happened, and it was the Erie Canal that really kind of opened things up.
Well, the movement westward, and I think, you know, this is why Barcelona is such a critical part of our county's history, because there weren't roads. And so the best way to move was by water.
Yeah.
So water was critical. And when the Holland Land Company surveyed Chautauqua County, they only laid out 3 villages. And those were Barcelona, which was then called Portland Harbor, Irving, because of Cattaraugus Creek, which was a navigable piece of water, the stream, and Mayville, because it sat at the head of the lake. And that portage trail was critical for moving goods from the interior out and from the Great Lakes in.
And the Portage Trail was that indigenous native pathway throughout Chautauqua County.
It was
right?
cut by the French. French soldiers came through in the 1750s and were
Okay.
trying to connect their Canadian territory to their southern territories.
Okay.
And so they were trying to secure ownership or possession of the Ohio River tributaries and all of that. So the French were here, cut the Portage Trail, moved, hundreds of soldiers up to Chautauqua Lake, went down the lake, and then so the Holland Land Company realized that was a really important portage, because that was a really, a short piece of land, and then the rest of the way you could go by water, and water was, critical. So that's what built Portland Harbor. The Holland Land Company anticipated it being a really big settlement because everybody came to the county by water.
Right.
So that's why the lake shore developed first. Fredonia was settled, and Silver Creek, what is now Silver Creek, and Westfield, and the whole coast along the Great Lakes.
Right.
So that, of course, was just accelerated once the Erie Canal opened.
Right.
So
they all play together over time. Okay. So I mentioned Indian Trail. There was no Indian trails that they were using at all?
Well, there were Indian trails, but those wouldn't have had bridges across the streams. They wouldn't have been wide enough for you to come with a wagon.
Oh, no. I meant that they were maybe the initial cut through.
Sure. And so some of those early Holland Land Company maps show where there were trails.
Yeah, there we go.
And then a lot of times those were developed into the early stage routes.
Precisely what I was getting at.
So yes, so those were.
Because I had a historian contact me out of Rochester or something that was developed, wanted to do the whole history of that. Maybe he contacted you. I don't know. But anyways, we have a phone call, so hold on. So, good morning, caller.
Hello, Doc. It's Mike Felsman from Portland.
Portland, would that be one of the first 3
I think
harbors in Chautauqua County?
I think it was.
All right.
I think it was. But I just listening to the show, and I always find I wanted to definitely give a shout out. I haven't met one of your guests, but I've known Michelle Henry for a long time. So I would definitely want to give a shout out to Michelle. I always enjoy listening to her tell us about the history of the area and stuff. So I'm going to have to catch this in reruns, because I know I'm missing bits and pieces, but that's the nice part. I can catch it tonight and
that's right.
Listen a little more closely. But it's just very interesting, Michelle, and I just wanted to shout out and say hello.
Good morning. Thanks.
I'm still around. I don't teach swimming lessons anymore, but I still officiate swim meets.
All right, super, Mike.
So that's all I really had. Now, like I say, I just saw an article in the newspaper in the Observer about I think it was a ribbon cutting at the Lighthouse.
All right,
so
we're going to get to that here in a minute. Yeah.
And so I'll try to get up there sometime.
All right. Well, thank you for calling in, Mike, and as always, good to hear from you.
All right, we'll see you, Doc.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye now.
Okay, so there we go, Portland. And as you said, Portland was a key point in the development of this area. And out of Portland came, you tell me, Westfield and Ripley?
Well,
Brockton?
yeah, I mean, like initially the county was divided in two, north to south. So there was the town of Portland, Pomfret, and the town of Chautauqua.
Okay.
And so it's funny to think that our county government, would have had two supervisors. That's who was actually leading the county initially. But then, shortly thereafter, the town of Portland was established, and then Ripley and then Westfield came out of the two towns.
Right.
So Westfield was the newest of those three towns.
Okay.
So, that was the area of first settlement or development because of the harbor.
Okay.
So.
And so Barcelona Harbor. So why Barcelona? Why the name Barcelona?
Oh.
I know. Here's that little question. Aren't you glad I didn't ask you?
Why I brought her. That's exactly why I brought her.
There's always stories. There's always ideas that it was, a deviation of a French term. Mm-hmm. And I really think, after having spent a year now researching all of this stuff, that there were some men involved with the early development. One of them named Isaac Smith, who was from Buffalo, but he owned a lot of the early docks and warehouses at Barcelona. And he had traveled extensively, and he built a wharf out into the lake, and he named his wharf Barcelona Wharf. And at that time, it was still Portland Harbor. But in 1836, he petitioned to have the name changed to Barcelona, because by that time, we were no longer in the town of Portland, we were in the town of Westfield. And if you read the newspapers from the 1830s, even though they were local newspapers, they had a ton of information, a ton of articles about the Civil War going on in Spain. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that was happening in the area of Barcelona, Spain. Barcelona is a port town. It has a lot of grape growing. It has various geographical levels similar to our escarpment. And I'm thinking that he named it after Barcelona. And, that was popular at that time for towns to name themselves after that, or use Spanish terms. Yeah. I think there's a good argument that the town of Mina was named after one of the Spanish generals who was just famously adored everywhere for his work. I don't know if the folks in Mina will agree with me. Okay.
Well, and same with Ripley. It was named after a general.
Yeah, and Villanova.
Yeah.
New village. I mean, so my argument, my idea is that it was named after Barcelona, Spain. Okay,
we're setting you up, Marla, so hang on.
Oh, dear.
All right, so and this is important, I think, why what I'm doing here is so I'm laying the groundwork of why this is so important that you are preserving what you're preserving and doing. So Barcelona was a primary port, harbor, and there was fishing, basically, and commerce going up and down Lake Erie to the other lakes at that point, or what?
Yeah, initially it was a commercial, so it was a lot of goods, lumber, potash, wool, that was going in, whiskey, going in and out of the harbor. And so there were warehouses, there were called commission businesses. So, these men were working with New York City and Buffalo and Pittsburgh to set up a chain to deliver goods, and then also passengers.
Right.
So the early, immigrants were using water to come and going farther west to to Erie and then to Detroit.
And with the Erie Canal, that's going to be celebrating its anniversary here pretty soon, like 250 years or whatever I saw. Or
it's 200 years.
200 years.
So this year.
All right. So that opened up the St. Lawrence Seaway, the ocean, the Atlantic. I mean, that opened up this huge waterway all the way through.
I mean, Lake Erie, really, when you think about it, all the western lakes feed into Lake Erie.
Right.
And then Lake Erie was that critical piece because the Welland Canal allowed them to bypass Niagara Falls so we could get goods to Quebec and Montreal. And then the Erie Canal got us connected to the eastern seaboard. So it just made us much more accessible, and it just, the Portland Harbor was just critical to all that commercial business. It wasn't really until the railroads came through and kind of took away the shipping as importance that then the fishing really took off. Even though there was always fishing there, suddenly it became like the key industry.
All right, so we're talking 1820s now. You got ships coming and going, you got commerce developing, but there was a need for obviously some safety and to let people know where they are to navigate Lake Erie.
Right.
And so the Barcelona Lighthouse is created for what purpose? Anybody?
Safe navigation of the
Safe
lakes.
navigation.
So yeah, it was the federal government that had surveyors come out and determine where lighthouses were most needed. And they realized there were millions of dollars in commerce that they needed to protect on the Great Lakes.
So this just was a cool thing. Let's build a lighthouse so it's really pretty, and I mean everything was functional back then.
Absolutely.
And so Marla, you have this state park now, and the Barcelona Lighthouse is really part of the park. It's more than just the lighthouse, right?
Yes.
So tell us a little about that.
Well, the lighthouse is, of course, the key centerpiece. The keeper's cottage there, we have a small museum there to talk about the commerce and things, and then the fishing industry and all the things that made up why is it historically significant. We also have, at this point, a small gift shop and some restrooms. This was just phase one that the ribbon cutting you came to was for.
Right.
As we're expanding, we're including more of those types of things. Future phases are going to include, there's a cottage down on the shoreline that we own. That's going to be kind of the centerpiece for interpreting the harbor and the fishing industry. We're going to move most of that down there. We're also have a tentative donation of a large fishing vessel that has been decommissioned that we'll bring over onto our property so people can see, what was on these boats, how did this work or how does this work?
Michelle, your job sounds like it's going to go on for a while.
I hope so.
Okay.
I love going upstairs. And
So how many acres are we talking? I mean, is it like a couple acres?
Yeah, we're about 2 acres total.
Okay.
So it's a pretty small site.
People see the Barcelona Lighthouse and they see this little piece of land, but it goes down to the lake,
Yes.
right?
Right to the
And,
harbor shore.
and one of my favorite spots, and I'm sure it is yours too, is that back porch or whatever. What was the purpose of that?
Well, when it was in private hands, after it was decommissioned, the families that lived there added on to it a few different times, and adding that back porch was one of the pieces that was done.
It reminds me of going into Allegheny State Park, way deep side in all the stonework. I mean, it's just really nice.
Well, it's lasted almost 200 years at this point, yes.
So when was it decommissioned and why?
It was decommissioned in 1859.
Oh, wait a minute, 1859?
1859.
So it was only used for what, 30 years?
Yep. As Michelle was mentioning, the railroads came through, pretty much killed off a lot of the commerce on the water. There was also a very significant couple of storms that had happened and messed up his wharfs and things, and as they were rebuilding, it kind of was a perfect storm that, we're going to bypass this place now.
Yeah. Lake Erie can be kind of rough.
Oh, yes. A lot of shipwrecks in Lake Erie.
Hundreds of them, I guess. Wow. All right, so it's decommissioned in 1859, then what became of it?
It was sold through auction into private hands, into the Patterson family, actually.
Patterson, like Patterson Library Pattersons? Okay.
Yep. Then it stayed in that family until the 1990s, where it was sold to another family briefly, and then the state was able to purchase it in 2007.
Wow.
So
that would be cool to own your own lighthouse. But a lot of liability too. Wow. All right, so you had a ribbon cutting ceremony. What was it all about? For what?
Well, the lighthouse is almost 200 years old and had not been well maintained over those decades and centuries. People tried, absolutely. However, the stairs had started to rot. The mortar and the holding all the stones together were chipping out, and they patched it with some of the wrong stuff, which was making it worse. There was just a lot of time damage to it. So we made the investment and some grants and some other organizations that helped and rehabilitated it. The stairs have all been replaced going all the way up. All the mortar has been chipped out and all the right stuff that was historically figured out.
I watched them all last year.
Yep.
It was really cool.
Yep, I did leave a picture with him. I don't know if you have one.
We'll get him up here in a minute. Yeah.
So basically, it was we finished this phase that the tower is now ascendable by the public.
How tall is it?
It's 40 feet.
40 feet. How many stairs?
47 stairs to the landing and 10 stairs up the ladder through
So
the
you
hatch.
got to be relatively good health and good
Yes.
legs to get up there. Is it
Yep.
strenuous? I mean, is it?
It can be, depending on your
right.
physical abilities and your health, yes.
So it's a state park,
Yes.
and it'll be available for people to enjoy when? Now?
Not quite yet. Next Saturday, Memorial Day weekend, we will open to the public. We've been open every year for the last decade, basically, with our little museum, but we've not been able to let people up before. This will be the first time that people will be able to ascend, provided they have the ability to do so.
Okay, and now all right, let's get into intricacies because people are listening. Who can go up?
Well, we're asking people to come into the cottage first so that you can we've got some pictures and some video and things to look at to see what am I getting into when I get up there. We also have some parameters we've set.
There we go.
Because of the way the railings are up top and such, we're asking that we don't allow children under 54 inches, 54 and above with adults, yes, for children. Also, when you get to the top of the stairs, there's a very tight pinch point between the stairs going up to the hatch and the center beam that's holding everything together.
All right.
There's 16 and a half inches there.
Okay.
So we've got 2 posts put in the, yep, exactly.
I can measure myself here.
We've got 2 posts set up inside the cottage. It's kind of a can you fit here thing. If you can fit through there, you will be fine up top.
Good boy.
And we've built a mock-up of the ladder that goes up through because it's what they call an alternate step ladder. So most ladders have a rung going straight across. This has a step here and a step here and a step here. So
Okay.
you can't get your feet together on one level. So we've got a 3-step mock-up in the cottage for you to try. if
Can
can
you
do it.
go partway and say, I'm good?
I'm sure some people will.
Okay.
There are 47 steps going up that tower. It's a hall.
So when you get to the top, what do you see? I mean, obviously you see things,
It's
but I mean,
a-
can you see Canada pretty well or things like that?
On a really clear day, you might be able to see just a little bit of the shoreline.
Okay.
But mostly it's just a beautiful view of Lake Erie and the harbor. And if you turn the other way, you can see, into Westfield area.
Okay, now Michelle, my understanding that there's something special about this lighthouse, that it was the first to have something. So there's your segue.
Yeah, so the local folks already knew that there was natural gas bubbling out of a stream up the road, which is now at Ottaway Park. And so there was a gentleman in Fredonia who had tried to bring natural gas to the Dunkirk Lighthouse, and he didn't succeed. So they hired him to come and try to pipe it to Barcelona, and he was successful. So they actually had wooden pipes, and they had a conical structure in the creek to capture the gas, and then they used wooden pipes to pipe it all the way to the lighthouse and up the lighthouse, and he designed a light fixture, which I think is just fascinating. It was all brand new technology.
Wow.
And so he not only figured out how to capture it, how to pipe it, and then how to build a light fixture that would burn it. So it was lit with natural gas in 1830.
So until 1859, it was lit by natural
Yeah,
gas?
there were periods of time like when the water levels were low, they couldn't always get enough gas to come through the
all right,
pipes.
that makes sense.
So they had a backup whale oil light. Yeah, so whale oil was how most lighthouses were lit at the time.
Okay. And did they have like a reflector, and then you had put the light in front of it that would spread the light out, I guess, or a lens?
A
or-
lens and a reflector.
Okay, I've seen some up in Maine, some of those things.
Yeah.
Interesting. So today, what's up there? Is there a light now? Or?
There is a light right now. It is basically a lantern that you would have found on streets back in the 50s or 60s. There was an agreement between the town of Westfield and the owners at the time to relight it with gas, and it was 1962, I believe. And it's been lit pretty much ever since, except when we were in construction. So
Is it being used by navigators?
No.
It's just ornamental, more or less?
pretty much ornamental.
Okay.
Nod to history.
And this is run how? By gas?
Yep, it's natural gas.
And it's lit now?
It's lit now.
So if
yes.
you drive by, that light will be on.
Yes.
I've never seen it at night. I guess I got to go check that out.
Yep, it's
All right, so
always lit.
you brought some pictures. I actually, thank you, was invited to the ribbon cutting ceremony. So Jeff, I'll just bring them up and you can refer to them. How's that?
Okay.
I'll let you talk.
Well, this was the tower when it was under construction. They were that way for a full year last year, and when they came to visit would see the guys working very hard. They had to chip out every little bit of that mortar by hand.
And this was built in the 1829 era? Okay.
It was all built by hand
So
at that
almost
time.
100 years old.
Yes, 200.
200 years old.
Exactly.
It's early. And then the top of it is that stone as well? What was the top of the tower?
It's a cedar shake roof.
And was that the original type?
Uncertain.
Uncertain. Okay.
So.
Probably over time it was replaced and that sort of thing. Okay, what you got here?
Well, this was from your ribbon cutting day. That was the sign that we had for the rehabilitation and revitalization project. This is phase 1, and that was to redo the tower, to change the garage into the gift shop and restrooms, and to put in the infrastructure needed to have those restrooms.
Okay, so the project is going to end when? Hopefully.
Well, I'm hoping that everything, all the phases are done by 2029, which would be our 200-year anniversary.
years.
That's
Okay.
my goal.
Okay.
So
And this is all free of charge?
right now, yes.
Right now? Is there discussion that maybe that you be charging?
We don't know. We never
Okay.
know what we're going to have.
To be determined.
Yep,
Okay.
to be determined.
What are we looking at now?
Okay, you're looking at the inside of the lighthouse, what it looked like before and what it looked like after we redid all the mortar and things. So as you can see, some of the rocks and things were starting to slide and shift, and the tower was definitely in danger of not being a tower anymore.
Wow. A question just came through, which is a good question.
Sure.
I might add. Not mine. Did they start from the bottom, go up, or did they start at the top and go down when they did the repairs?
Well, they actually started at the top,
Okay.
partly because of the way it all fit together. They had to do a shoring all the way through the inside. You saw the beams coming down on the outside, and they cabled it around to hold it in this way. They also had all the scaffolding and then shoring that they built to push out at the same time, so they didn't lose anything. One of the challenges of all the steps were actually mortared into each wall. So they had to take out each step from the wall and remortar a new step in. And they did that from the top down.
Where do you guys find people to do this?
Well, it actually went out to bid, just like any other New York State project.
Okay.
And the contractor hired some specialty historic masons.
Okay.
That's the kind of stuff they do.
Holy cow.
So.
Did you watch a lot, or did you?
Oh, yeah, I was
okay.
bugging them all the time. I was always bugging them.
Okay, so what are we looking at here?
Okay, so this is the old ladder that went up through the hatch.
Now, what side to side to side? I don't know. Which is the
Starting
old one?
on the left
All
is
right.
the old wooden ladder.
Okay.
You'll see that it actually sat on the steps.
Oh.
Yes,
oh,
exactly.
that's interesting.
So it had definitely been changed out over the years. We weren't sure, but it was not real safe.
Okay.
So the new ladder, you'll see the landing is extended over towards that window a
Gotcha.
bit. So there's a new steel ladder. That's the alternate steps I was talking about.
Okay, I see it now.
So you can see the pinch point between the center beam and when you come with that last stair between there and the steps.
Okay, we have another phone call, so let's take that and we'll come back to your pictures.
Sure.
Morning, caller.
Good morning, Jack, and good morning, ladies. This is Linda Spalding. Michelle, it's always a delight when you and your helpers come on the show, because I love everything that you're doing to preserve our history.
Thank you.
And I'm calling late, so I'm sorry I was out too long in this beautiful weather. Thank you very much, and have a great weekend.
Whoa, okay. Well, thank you. So get over to the Barcelona Lighthouse and climb that tower.
Oh, I was just down there with my grandson.
Okay.
On was it Tuesday? We were down there Tuesday.
Okay.
Had a great time.
Great. All right, super. All right, then have a great weekend. We'll talk to you later.
You too.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Super. Everybody loves the Barcelona Lighthouse. All right, what do we got here now?
Well, on the left, you've got what the old steps looked like. Yes, that is light coming right through them. And there were a lot of rot and a lot of...
I
yes.
thought that was the roof.
Nope.
Oh, I'm getting myself oriented here.
Reasons why we didn't let people climb.
Michelle, you've been up there, right?
Now she has.
You like it?
That was amazing. That's awesome.
So the wood was not, it was pretty iffy there.
Yep.
All
So
right.
all of that has been replaced with the stuff on the right.
And is that wood on the right?
Yes,
Okay.
it's southern yellow pine.
All right. Ooh-wee. Okay. Oh,
And
look
the
at
roof
that.
got a total makeover as well. So
Was that cedar shakes to begin with?
it was.
But we don't know what the original was, right? But it's probably something along those lines. We don't know.
Well, the original light apparatus had a copper domed roof.
Oh.
So I think they put this roof on to show the height of that original lantern
Wow.
type. So.
Okay.
And that's what the exterior looked like before and at the end of the guys doing the project.
Okay, I happen to know a little bit about this, what I'm going to ask you about, because I found a postcard that my office donated through a family in Ripley, but how did you know what it looked like, the colors to use, all that sort of thing?
Well, they were able to dig out some of the mortar from deep inside. They had that analyzed. So that was the first big piece was, okay, make the mortars match what was originally used.
Okay.
We didn't touch the stone. The stone is still the color that it was.
Is it local stone?
Yes.
Okay.
Local field stone they would have built right on site. So really the only colors we dealt with were the mortar, and that is what was original.
Okay.
There was a lot of work with the State Historic Preservation Office, the Historic Masons, going back and forth with mock-ups, and not quite, okay, getting closer, let's tweak this,
So
let's tweak
chances are
that.
200 years ago or thereabouts, if you went to see the Barcelona Lighthouse, that's what it would have looked like, except for the top, right, Michelle? The top probably would have been different.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What else we got, Jeff? Ooh, okay.
That was our ribbon cutting. Which
All right, so there was a bunch of people there, as I recall. All right, and you had some dignitaries there up right next to there they are. And so was anybody want to point out there to some people that I know, at least one of them was from the New York State?
Well, the fellow with the big scissors in the middle is Randy Simons. He is our Commissioner Pro Tem for the state. Going to the right, Wendy Brand in the pink jacket. She is our local Allegheny Commission chair. Going the other way, there are some folks representing Senator Borrello's office,
legislature. I know
Langworthy's
office,
and Molitar's
Martha
office.
Bills, a
Martha
local
Bills.
town supervisor.
Yep, and then Sandra is on our commission with Wendy. So,
Okay, all right. And so that was the official, we're open.
yes.
And the next thing I know, I look up, oh, there I am.
Proof that you were there.
I was there. All right, you can skip that one. I think the next picture I wanted to see was I think there's people up in the tower. I think that's
Yes.
the one I was looking for.
That was the prize for coming.
All right.
First people up.
I did not go because there was a long line, and I thought, well, I'll come to sometime when there's nobody around. Do we have a picture of people up in the tower, Jeff? I can't remember if we do.
Yeah.
Okay, well, anyways.
Visitors may have to wait a little bit because we can
Okay.
only let a few people up at a time because
Right.
it is such a small site.
All right,
So-
and now the question came up right there. I think Michelle and I were talking about. Are you going to have like sign-offs, liability sign-offs, or anything
There's
like
going to
that?
be a accepting the risk sign-off, yes.
Okay, and that goes to any event type thing. So, Michelle, moving forward, what are you going to be working on as the historian there, the researcher?
Well, I think we have some ideas to just switch out some things in the museum, maybe add some displays in the museum. There are items in the collection of the County Historical Society, which is in Westfield, which recently acquired the Judy Hess collection, which was all about Barcelona fishing and the early Barcelona history. So there are some things that are now in the collection at the County Historical.
There they are. They're up
There's
in the
some
tower.
folks
Thanks, Jeff. Okay.
that we would like to bring into the museum to just allow us to tell more of the story.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
We're down about a half a minute.
Okay.
Michelle, anything you want to add before we go?
I would encourage folks to come to the park. It's lovely, and you really get a sense of, what perhaps a family would have dealt with living at the lighthouse and being responsible for the light if you get to climb the stairs.
And is it safe to say if people are going through family records and they have pictures of the Barcelona Lighthouse or that area, you could be interested to see them?
Yeah, any early records.
Because
of
I
this.
found a few in my archives
Yeah.
in town.
Yeah.
And Marla, you get to have less say
Well,
here.
I just want to say that we are entering phase 2 this summer, so you will see more construction on the site. We'll be building out the slope to stabilize so that the lighthouse stays at the top of the bluff.
But you still be able to get in the lighthouse.
You'll still be able to get in, just expect more construction on the site.
Okay, and for the next couple of years for different
Yes.
parts. Congratulations, absolutely congratulations, because I know you spoke to
you.
my Rotary Club a while back, and this was still in the talking stage, and wow, So I'm going to get there. I will. I just don't know when yet. Folks, I hope you enjoyed today's show. Get over to the Barcelona Lighthouse. Check out the state park there. It's just down the road here and something to do on a nice Sunday afternoon. It's 7 days a week. 7 days a week. What are the hours?
10 to 5.
10 to 5. All right, we're going to do this all next week here on Chautauqua Sunrise at Spectrum 1301. Check us out on Facebook, YouTube, anywhere there's social media. Have a great weekend and enjoy the great weather. Take care now. Bye-bye.